Om. 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 Sahanavavatu. Sahano bhunaktu. Sahaviryam karavavahai. Tejasvinavadhitamastu. Ma vidvishavahai. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Sairam, everyone. Just to recollect where we are, we have been studying the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita for the past couple of weeks. And last week, we had ended our session with the verse 9, where Sanjaya is telling Dhritarashtra that Arjuna put his weapons down and told Krishna that he will not fight. Before that, Arjuna had told Krishna that he was confused as to what is right, what he needs to do. And he tells Krishna that he surrenders to him and asks him to teach him. That was Prapanna, Prapatti or total surrender of Arjuna to Krishna. And then he says, I will not fight. And he sits down. And Sanjaya, in the ninth verse, he's telling this to Dhritarashtra. And we will continue. There's one more verse of Sanjaya telling Krishna. We will read that and then we will continue. Tamuvacha Hrishikesha Prahasanniva Bharata Senayorubhayor Madhye Ishidantamidam Vachaha. Tamuvacha Hrishikesha Prahasanniva Bharata Senayorubhayor Madhye Ishidantamidam Vachaha. Tamuvacha Hrishikesha Prahasanniva Bharata Senayorubhayor Madhye Vishidantamidam Vachaha. Let's look at some pronunciation aspects. Tamuvacha Hrishikesha. In the word Hrishikesha, the Hrishi is cerebral sha, so the tip of the tongue should point upwards towards the roof of the mouth. Prahasanniva, there are no aspirated consonants so far. Bharata, in the word Bharata, the Bha is aspirated, being the fourth letter in the per class of consonants. Senayor Ubhayor Madhye. Senayor Ubha. That Bha again, Rubha, is an aspirated consonant. So please make a note of it. Then Ubhayor Madhye. The last compound consonant, Ud and Ya, that Ud is actually aspirated. Madhye. Okay. Senayor Ubhayor Madhye. Vishidantam idam vachaha. There is no aspirated consonant, but she is a cerebral she. Just pay attention to that. Let's look at Sandhi-related information. Tam, Tamuvacha is made of Tam and Uvacha. And U becomes Mu. Okay, Tamuvacha. The next word is Hrishikesha. I have just, it is one compound word samasa, but I have just separated individual words within that samasa because there's a sandhi there. Hrishika and Ishaha. The K plus E becomes K. A and E always becomes A. So Hrishikesha. Okay. The next word Prahasan Niva is made up of two words. Prahasan Iva. N and E becomes Ni. So it becomes Prahasan Niva. In this Sandhi, there's an additional in gets added. Okay. Prahasan Niva. Okay, so that's a specialty of this Sandhi. Prahasan Niva Bharat. The next one, Senayor Ubhayor Madhye, is made up of three words. Senayoho Ubhayoho Madhye. Senayoho, in that the Visarga becomes R, that Ir and U becomes Ru. So that's how it becomes Senayor Ubhayoho. Then the Ubhayoho, also the Visarga becomes Ir. So Ubhayor Madhye. Okay, so Senayor Ubhayor Madhye. So we'll look at the next word, Vishidantamidam. It's made up of two words, Vishidantam and idam. And E becomes me, Vishidantamidam vachaha. Let's look at the word meaning. Tham vacha. Okay. Tam means second vibhakti or second noun form. To him. Okay. Who is this to him? Arjuna is being referred as the him because now Krishna is starting to speak. So that's what Sanjay is telling Dhritarashtra. The Arjuna who had kept everything down and told Krishna that he had surrendered to him, Uvacha said, okay, Uvacha, Hrishikeshaha. So Hrishikeshaha, the Lord of the senses. Who is that? It's Krishna. Prahasan iva. Prahasan means, hasa means to laugh or smile. Prahasan means laughing. Iva is in this meaning, generally the meaning is like. Prahasan iva means he was not really laughing, but as if he was laughing. Okay, as if he was laughing. Krishna told or said to Arjuna, Bharata. So here, Sanjay is addressing Dhritarashtra as Bharata. He is also a descendant of Bharata or son of Bharat, the country Bharat. So whichever way it would mean. So he is addressing Dhritarashtra as Bharata. Then he goes on to say, Senayoho. Senayoho is a dual noun. And this noun is the sixth noun form. So Sena, Yoho. Okay. Sena means an army. Sena Yoho means of these two armies. Okay. Of these two armies, of the two armies. Ubhayoho again re-emphasizes that there are two. Ubhayoho means of the two. Okay, so it's an adjective of Senyoho, Ubhayoho, Senyoho, Ubhayoho, the two armies. Okay, of the two armies, Madhye, in the middle. In the middle of the two armies, Krishna is laughing and talking to Arjuna. Vishidantam, this thumb, Arjuna, is Vishidantam. He's despairing. He's sort of dejected and he doesn't know what to do. Okay, to that Arjuna, Idam vachaha. Idam means this vachaha, word, or this subject, whichever way you want to take it. So to this Arjuna who was Vishidantam, who is despairing, Sri Krishna laughingly speaking between the two armies. Okay, this is what Sanjaya tells Dhritarashtra. The summary of this verse is, O descendant of Bharat, Dhritarashtra, Lord Krishna, who is Hrishikesha, spoke smilingly these words to him, to Arjuna, who was despairing in the middle of the two armies. So let's look at a few excerpts of Swami's discourses. So, divine bliss is the coveted destination of man. We ask ourselves where this bliss is, how does one reach this place of bliss, and what should we do to attain this? Today, we are not taking the chariot of our body to bliss. The answer has been given by the disciples of Shankara. They said that this bliss is to be found in children who are in ecstasy and who do not have the knowledge of their surroundings. As we grow older, we get more and more involved in sensuous desires. We are not thinking even for a little while about the bliss that we experience in our childhood. Christ said once that bliss is playing around the tender cheeks of children, in whom there are no desires. Children often exhibit this bliss in a remarkable manner. The bliss and happiness which children show have no parallel in anything else in the world. For example, if a mother is carrying a child and walking on the road, the child sometimes looks back and laughs. Children have got this extraordinary quality in them that they can make elders also laugh. The reason for this is that they are under no illusion about the importance of their bodies. Elders are so much immersed in thinking of their body and things that involve the body that even if they want to laugh, they cannot do so. They only put up a pretense of laughter. It is in this context that the Bhagavad Gita says that one who laughs is Narayana and the one who cries is Nara, man. When Nara, represented by Arjuna, was crying in a despondent mood, Narayana, represented by Krishna, was at ease even in the battlefield. We laugh only when we are happy. When we are happy, we not only laugh, but also try to sing some songs. Those who have a sweet voice will sing in public. Those who do not have a sweet voice will at least sing in the bathroom. Krishna had a sweet voice and perfect knowledge of raga, musical tune, and thala, rhythm. And so he was singing the Gita even in the battlefield. The word Gita means song, and amidst many difficulties in the battlefield, it's only a Krishna who can sing. This shows that God is the embodiment of happiness. This is a discourse from the summer course of 1973, where Swami was talking about the Bhaji Govindam, but in this discourse, Swami speaking about this this event where Krishna was smilingly talking to Arjuna. So just to show the divinity of the Lord, who just before a battle was about to start, was still happy and was able to sing and smile. Okay, we'll look at the next verse. This is the 11th verse. This is where the Bhagavad Gita really starts. So let's pay attention. Sri Bhagavan Vacha Asocyan Anvasocastvam Prajnavadamscha Bhashase Gatasu Nagatasunscha Nanu Shochanti Pandita. Sri Bhagavan Vacha Asocyan Anvasocastvam Prajnavadamscha Bhashase Gatasu Nagatasunscha Nanu Shochanti Pandita. Sri Bhagavan Vacha Asocyananvasocastvam Prajnavadamscha Bhashase Gatasu Nagatasunscha Nanu Shochanti Panditaha. Let's look at some pronunciation aspect. Sri Bhagavan Vacha, the Bha is aspirated. Pay attention to that. Asocyananvasocastvam Prajnavadamscha. There are no aspirated consonants. Bhashase. Bha is aspirated consonant. Sh is cerebral sh. Bha, sh, se. Pay attention to that. Gatasun, agatasun, cha Nanushojanti. Pandita, there are no aspirated consonants. Let's look at Sandhi splits. Sri Bhagavan Vacha is made up of Sri Bhagavan and Vacha. In and U becomes Nu. That's why it's written there. Nuvacha. Sri Bhagavan Vacha. The first word, Asochananvasochastvam, is made up of three words. Asochan, Anvasochaha, Tvam. Asochan, the in and becomes na. Okay, in and becomes na. Asochananvasochaha. Okay. In the Anvasochaha, the Visarga and Tvam join, and the Visarga becomes is. So it becomes Anvasochastvam. When three are put together, it's Asochananvasochastvam. The next word, Prajnavadamscha, is made up of two words, Prajnavadan and Cha. So in this, when in and Cha come together, an additional consonant is introduced into the Sandhi, which is Ish. So that's how it becomes Vadanscha. Okay. The Ish actually connects. It's a glue which connects in and Cha. Bhasha says stands alone. No Sandhi related changes. In the next one, Gatasun Agatasuncha is made up of three words. Gatasun, Agatasun, and Cha. So Gatasun, Agatasun, they are the in and joined together to make na. So it becomes Gatasu Nagatasun. Okay. Gatasu Nakadasu. Okay. Then Agatasun Cha, in and Cha come together, and there's an ish added, just the way earlier on also we saw an ish got added in that sandhi. Na anusochanti is made up of two words, na anusochanti. Na and joined together make na, so that's how it becomes na anusochanti. When it's split, it's a na anusochanti. Pandita stands alone. Let's look at the word-to-word meaning. Sri Bhagavan means the Lord, Bhagavan. Sri Krishna. Uvacha spoke. Asochan. Asocha means, so it comes from the word shoka. Shoka also comes from the word. Sochan means that which is fit to be grieved for. Anything which is worthy of being grieved for is socha. Asochan means things which are not worthy at all to be grieved about. Okay. So asochan. Okay. Anvasochaha. Tvam. Anvasochaha means you're grieving. A person who is grieving is anvasochaha. Tvam, you. So Krishna is telling Arjuna, you are grieving about things which are not worthy to be grieved for. That is the reason he was laughing. Okay, he was laughing because when we read the next one, you will understand. Prajnavadan means whatever you are speaking is very full of wisdom. Okay, words of wisdom, Prajnavadan. Cha, and Bhashase, you are saying. So what he is telling is, you're talking very high things, words of wisdom, but you are grieving for things which are not worthy to grieve for. So he finds it funny. You seem to be a very scholarly, wise person, but you are grieving for things which should not be grieved for, which are not worthy to grieve for. And then Krishna continues. Gata soon. Gata soon means people who have gone. People who have gone is gata soon. So dead ones. People who are dead. Agata soon. who have not gone. Okay, that means people who are living. Gatasun, the dead ones. Agatasun means people who are living. Cha also. And na anusochanti pandita. Gatasun, nagatasun is second vibhakti. That means second noun form, where it is an object. In the sentence, those words are objects. Okay. Anusochanti is grieve. So they, in English, you can say they do not grieve. Okay. Who do not grieve? Pandita are the wise ones. Pandita gatasun agatasun cha na anusochanti. They do not grieve about dead ones or people who are living. They do not grieve about anyone. So that's what Krishna says. I will give a summary of the verse. The Lord said, you are grieving for those which are not fit to be grieved for. And you are saying words of wisdom. The wise do not grieve for the dead ones nor the living ones. Okay, so that's Krishna tells Arjuna that though he is pretending or he's tending to sound like a Pandita, he's not behaving like one. So let's read some excerpts from Swami's Gita Vahini. How lucky was Arjuna! Even from the depths of grief, joy will swell. Until the 11th shloka of the second chapter, it is a story of despondency of Arjuna, the effect of the possession. That is why the first step in the cure is the exposition of Sankhya Yoga, the path of knowledge, jnana. The Amritopadesha, immortality bestowing teaching of Krishna, begins from this 11th shloka. In fact, Bhagavad Gita starts from this point. Up to this point, it's the description of Arjuna's delusion born of ignorance and dullness of intellect. Krishna, acting the role of witness, allows the despondency to deepen and darken. When at last Arjuna threw down his bow and refused to fight, when he confessed that he had lost all sense of right and wrong, when he prayed that Krishna should teach him the way that will solve his problems best, then Krishna came forward and spoke. Another excerpt. What exactly is the cause of all grief? It's attachment to the body that produces grief as well as its immediate precursors, affection and hate. These two are the results of the intellect considering some things and conditions as beneficial and some other things and conditions as not. This is a delusion, this idea of beneficence and malevolence. Still, you get attached to objects that are considered beneficial and you start hating the others. But from the highest point of view, there's neither. The distinction is just meaningless. There are no two at all. How can there be good and bad then? To see two where there is only one, that is Maya or ignorance. The ignorance that plunged Arjuna into grief was of this nature, seeing many when there is only one. Absence of the knowledge of the identity of Tattvam, the word Tattva, used to mean principle, enshrines this great philosophical doctrine, is the cause of all ignorance. If this truth is not learned, man has to flounder in the ocean of grief. But if it is learned, and if man lives in that consciousness, then he can be free from grief. Many a prescription is recommended, used, publicized, and repeated parrot-like by all kinds of quacks. but they do not go to the root of the matter. They are balms applied to the eye to cure an ache in the stomach. The disease and the drug have no coordination. The ache must be spotted and diagnosed, and the drug must be such as will remove it. Then alone can be cured. Narayana is the only medical expert who can do so. He has diagnosed Arjuna's illness correctly and decided on the treatment. The wound that will not be healed by external application of balms has to be cured by internal remedies. So Krishna prodded Arjuna with queries. Why do you weep like a coward? Is it because Bhishma, Drona, and the rest are about to be killed? No, you weep because you feel that they are your men. It is egoism that makes you weep. People weep not for the dead, but because the dead are theirs. Have you not killed until now many who were not yours? You never shed any tears for them. Today you weep since you are under the delusion that these whom you see before you are somehow yours in a special way. When you sleep, you are unaffected by the feeling of I and mine. So you are unaware what happens to your body or the bodies of these your men, or to your possessions, items which you carefully remember while awake. Mine is the possessive case of I, and so it comes in its trail. The fundamental ignorance, my dear fool, is the identification of yourself with something that is not you, namely the body. Deha, material body, is anatma, non-self. You believe that it is the Atma, divine self. What a topsy-turvy bit of knowledge is this? To cure this ajnana, I must administer the medicine of jnana, wisdom itself. Thus, Krishna started giving him, in the very first instance, the most effective drug, jnana. This is detailed from the 11th sloka of the second chapter. This is a key sloka for all students of the Gita. Krishna condemns outright two objections that were haunting Arjuna for long, saying that the destruction of the body does not mean the destruction of the Atma, and that he is grieving for those he need not grieve for. Prajna vadamscha bhashase. You talk like a wise man. You say this is dharma and the other is adharma, as if you know how to distinguish them, said Krishna. So this is an excerpt from Gita Vayani, 3rd chapter. That's another small excerpt. We'll take a look at that as well. Krishna continued his discourse. Arjuna, think for a while who you are and what you are proposing to do. You declare that you know everything, but yet you weep like a helpless woman. Your words proclaim that you are a pandit, but your acts reveal you are a simpleton. Hearing you, one would infer you are a wise, liberated man. But seeing you, one would find that you are an ajnani, ignoramus. Your condition is disgusting to say the least. Well, if I take you to be a pandit, I cannot reconcile that view with your tears. For pandits do not grieve over life and death. If they grieve, they are not pandits. They are no pandits. Pandits have the capacity to discover what is fundamentally true. Those who know the secret of the physical and the mystery of the spiritual, such alone are to be called pandits. How then can they weep over either the embodied or the disembodied? They will not forego the inner calm, whatever the stress or distress. So, this is how Sri Krishna is starting his discourse to Arjuna on Sankhya Yoga. Look at the next verse. Natvevaham jatu nasam natvam neme janadhipa nachaiva na bhavishyamaha sarve vayamata param. Natvevaham jatu nasam natvam neme janadhipa nachaiva na bhavishyamaha sarve vayamata param. Na tvevaham jatu nasam na tvam nemi janadhipa na chaiva na bhavishyamaha sarve vayamatah param. Let's look at pronunciation related aspects. Na tvevaham jatu nasam na tvam nemi. There are no aspirated consonants. Janadhipa, in that dhi is aspirated. Janadhipa. The next line is na chaiva na bhavishyamaha. There the bha is aspirated. Shyamaha bhavish. The ish is cerebral action. Pay attention to that. Sarve vayamata param. Let's look at sandhi splits. Na stands alone. Tvevaham is made up of three words. Tu eva aham. Tu eva becomes tveva. And eva aham becomes evaham. Okay, to u and a always makes va. Okay. U and a makes va. U and a makes ve. Okay. So that's how we get tveva. Eva, aham, va, and a join together to make va, a longer va. So that's why you get tvevaham. Okay. Jatu stands alone. Na asam becomes nasam. Na asam. Where na and a join together to make na and sa. Na tvam. No other related changes. Name is made up of two words. Na and ime. Na and e becomes ne and me. So na ime becomes ne me. Janatipa stands alone. The next line, na stands alone. Cha eva becomes chaiva. Na bhavishyamaha, no sandhi related change. Sarve vayam ataha. Sarve stands alone. Vayam ataha becomes vayam ataha. And a join to make ma. Vayam ataha. Let's look at word-to-word meaning. Na, not to indeed. Eva is only. Aham, that's I. Jatu means ever, always. Okay. Na asam was. Okay. So what it basically means is there was not a I was not. I was ever not is not. There's double negative. So there was no time when I was not. There was no time when I was not. Na tvam, na ime janatipa. Na tvam, not also. You also, not you. Tvam is you, na is not. Asam was, existing. Okay. Na ime janatipa. Ime janatipa means, janatipa means, jana adhipa means kings. Okay. Ime means these kings, not these kings. That means all these, there was no time when I was not, that you were not, and these kings were not. So there was no time means at all times all of us existed. Okay. Nacha eva na bhavishyama. Not only that, na bhavishyama. Even in the future, there will not be a situation where we will not exist. Okay. Sarve, all, vayam, us, atah param, hereafter. So that means Krishna is telling there was no time when I was not. There was no time when you were not. There was no time when all these people were not. That means all of them were present at all times in the past. Here, now they are all present anyway. In the future also, there will not be a situation where they will not exist. That means they will always exist. So that's the assurance Krishna is telling. Okay. Let's look at the verse summary. Never indeed I was not, did not exist. Never indeed I did not exist. Neither you nor all these kings. And nor shall we not, that, nor shall we cease to exist hereafter. Okay. So the way the Sanskrit, the idiomatic use is slightly different. So I've tried to keep it as comprehensible as possible in English. I hope it's. So Krishna is telling there was no time when I was not, you were not, all these kings were not. So that means there was, we always existed. And in the future too, we shall always exist. Okay. We will read some excerpts from Swami's discourse. Here, attention has to be paid to one fact. Arjuna is suffering from two types of delusion: ordinary and out of the ordinary. To confuse the body with oneself and pine for the body as if something has happened to you is the ordinary delusion. To discard one's own dharma, in this case, dharma of a Kshatriya warrior, as adharma is a delusion out of the ordinary. Krishna destroys the first and removes the second. The first is dealt with from the 12th to the 30th shloka of the second chapter. Krishna has to tackle the second as a special problem and explain in 8 shlokas the idea of swadharma, or his own dharma, to Arjuna. These are collectively called dharmashtakas. So Swami is categorizing. So from the 12th to the 30th verse, Krishna is discussing the fact that we are the Atma and we are not the body. And then later on, he's in 8 shlokas, he's talking about Swadharma. Okay, so we'll be looking at those as well. Let's another excerpt. Bhishma and Drona and the rest have come like true soldiers and Kshatriyas to engage in battle. They do not weep like you. Consider that. They will never grieve or withdraw. Arjuna, this is the testing time for you. Remember, let me tell you this also. There was never a time when I was not. Why? There was never a time when even you and all these kings and princes were not. Tat, that the divine is the Paramatma, creator, universal soul. Tvam, this yourself, is the Jivatma, embodied being, and both were the same, are the same, and will be so forever. Prior to the pot, in the pot, and after the pot, it was, is, and will be mud or clay. Okay. Let's look at the next verse. Dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara. Tatha dehantara praptir dhiras tatrana mukhyati. Dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara. Tatha dehantara praptir dhiras tatrana mukhyati. Dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara. Tatha dehantara praptir dhiras tatrana muhyati. Let's look at the pronunciation aspects. Dehinosmin, there are no aspirated consonants. In the word yatha, the second letter tha is aspirated. Dehi kaumaram yauvanam jara, there are no aspirated consonants. Tatha, in that second letter tha is aspirated. Dehantara prapti, there's no aspiration. Dhira, okay, this dhi is aspirated. Dehantara praptir dhi, the dhi is aspirated. Plus tatra na mukhyati, no other aspirated consonants. Let's look at the sandhi splits. Dehinaha asmin, joined together make dehinosmin. Naha, the visarga becomes u, and so the na becomes no, and a becomes silent, indicated by the avagraha or the s-like character here. Okay, dehinosmin. Yatha dehi kaumaram yauvanam jara. There are no sandhi related changes. Tata stands alone. The next word, Dehantara Praptirdhiras Tatra, that is made up of uh, three words, but the first word is huge samasa. That itself is Deha Antara Prapti. Deha Antara becomes Dehantara. Her plus a joined to make a long ha. Dehantara Prapti. There's no Sandhya-related changes between Antara and Prapti. That Praptihi, that Visarga becomes Ir. So that's Praptirdhira. Okay. The Visarga becomes Ir. And between Dhiraha and Tatra, the Visarga becomes Is. So that's how it becomes Dhiras Tatra. Okay. Dehantara Praptir Dhiras Tatra. Na Muhyati is they stand alone, no Sandhya changes. Let's look at the word-to-word meaning. Dehinaha. Dehinaha means Dehin means one who is the indweller of the body, who is embodied, who is residing in the body, Dehin. Dehinaha is the fourth vibhakti or fourth noun form. So for the one with the body, for the one who is dwelling in the body, Dehinaha, Asmin, in this, okay, Yatha Dehe, that is in this Deha. Dehin is staying in a Deha, okay. Just the way this Dehe, in this Deha, Kaumaram means childhood, Yavanam, youth, Jara, old age. So just the way in this body, the embodied seal experiences Kaumaram, Yavanam, Jara, childhood, youth, and old age. Tata, in the same way, Dehantara Praptihi, Deha Antara Prapti. Deha means body, Antara means another afterwards, so something like that. So when a person passes off and he passes away, Praptihi. So there's another body which we receive when we die. Okay. So which is like, say, our body going through Kaumaram, Yauvanam, Jara. Just the way everybody becomes old, changes with the age. At the end of death, also another body is taken. Okay, it's similar. Dhiraha, the wise, the brave ones, Tatra, in this situation, they are namuhyati, they are not deluded. So the wise ones know this and they are not deluded about death itself. The death of the body is not troubling to the wise ones. Okay, because they think that's also a continuation of the changes which we encounter in life. Let's look at the summary. Just as for the one in the body, there's childhood, youth, and old age in this body, another body is gained in the same manner. In such a situation, the wise one is not deluded. There are some excerpts, so let's look at them. One point has to be carefully noticed here. Tat, that is, the Godhead is Nityam, eternal. Everyone accepts it. But Tvam, the individual too, is Godhead. Asi, Tat Tvam Asi. It too is eternal, though it cannot be grasped so easily or so quickly. So Krishna elaborates this and says, Arjuna, you too are eternal as the absolute. Seen apart from the limitation, the individual is the universal. Prior to the appearance of the jewel, there was just gold. During the existence of the jewel, there is just gold. And after the name and form of the jewel has gone, the gold persists. The Atma persists in the same way, body or no body. Though it is associated with the body, the Atma is unaffected by the gunas and dharmas. That is to say, it has no qualities and characteristics. You are unaffected by the changes that the body undergoes when you grow from the infant to the boy, from boy into the youth, from youth to the middle-aged man, and then to the old man. You persist in spite of all this. It's the same when the body is destroyed, the Atma persists. So the hero will not pine for the change called death. Krishna said this with such emphasis that the chariot shook. So this is again an excerpt from chapter 3 of Gita Vahini. Another excerpt I have. Let's read that as well. Arjuna was still doubt-ridden. "O Lord," he began, "you said that the bodily changes are like the stages of wakefulness, dream, and sleep. But we do not forget our experience when we awake from deep sleep. The experiences of previous births are destroyed in memory by the incident called death." Krishna replied that it was not possible to recall to memory all experiences, but it was possible to recall some. For the Atma persisted through the vehicle, though the vehicle changed. Arjuna then shifted to another point, a point which pesters many besides Arjuna. That's why Krishna says, Dhiras tatra na muhyati. The Dhira, the wise man, is not deluded by this. He does not say Arjuna should not be deluded by this. He intends to teach all wavering minds. Krishna solves every doubt as soon as it arises. He said, Arjuna, while passing through the three stages, buddhi, intellect, somehow manages to keep some points in its hold. But it too is destroyed when death comes to the body. At one stroke, all is forgotten. Memory is the function of the intellect, not the Atma. This excerpt is from chapter 4. There are some questions about death and what happens to the Atman after that, which will be covered by me. I will get some excerpts and discuss it with all of you at the next session. For now, we will close the session with prayer, Samastaloka prayer. Om Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Sairam, everyone.